Good morning. Today's episode is how to get willing to train. This is week 3 of our 30-day lifting challenge. I got some glare on my glasses. Week 3, we increase our reps for our exercises to 12. We've been doing a 5-day split, legs, arms, back, chest, but now we're going to increase our reps because this is week 3. And then in week 4, we increase the weight. But what today's episode is about is how to get willing to train. Back when I went through my transformation, going from obese to a normal healthy weight, the thing I had to learn was don't miss workouts, don't miss training sessions. People will tell you, and it's true, that the most important thing about losing fat, about physical transformation, is what you eat. And that is accurate. But what opened the door for me to change my eating habits was the change I made in my training and workout and exercise habits. Because my old method of exercise, which was long cardio sessions, was making me weak and hungry and tired. So it was actually causing the problems that I was trying to overcome. So when I transformed my training, I transformed my body by substituting resistance training, intervals, weightlifting for all of that cardio. How do you get yourself willing to do that though? Because there are all kinds of opportunities, all kinds of people like me who will tell you how to train, but how do you get willing? There are 3 things that you have to have in place in order to get willing to train. I call them 3 Ps: a place, a plan, and the third one is kind of weird: pleasure. You have to be willing to train. You have to want to train. And what I have discovered over 10,000 hours of training myself and training other people, that there has to be an element of pleasure in the session because it is your choice. If you were in the military, or if you were a professional dancer, or if I used to be a working actor in Los Angeles, mostly in the theater. If your work is connected to your training, a lot of times you're willing to train because you know that if you don't stay in shape, if you don't stay capable, you're going to lose your job. I was a singer-dancer on a cruise line, and I had to fit into somebody else's costumes when I came on board, and this gal was very, very tiny, had to be able to fit into the costume. So you have these incentives. But in general, then after I left and I got married and I became a mom, I became obese because I developed glucose intolerance during my pregnancy. Things went out of control. So in order to get back, I wasn't using the old techniques that I used when I was a singer-dancer. I had to find a way to get back in, and I had to get back into training, back into the gym. The biggest barrier that I had was incredibly low self-esteem because I was coming back to training officially obese. It was very, very difficult. But I had 3 things. I had a place, I had a plan, and I had discovered a way to change my training so that it was a pleasure. I want to share with you this binder that I have here has some of the before and afters of the people that I trained, and inside are the records of where they were when they started, where they were when they ended, measurements, all those kinds of things. And what we had to have in place was that plan. Now, you can grab just the 30-day plan. The videos are on this channel. We've got a 5-day split. It's perfectly appropriate for beginners, but you can also, if you're intermediate, you would just simply lift more weights. So you have a plan. Let's talk about having a place. So one of the reasons I wanted to talk about coming back from my pregnancy being obese is that I was very incredibly low self-esteem, ashamed of myself, ashamed of my body. So it was very, very difficult to go into a public gym and train. I managed to do it anyway. They had childcare, and I was able to take my child and have childcare there. So it was worth it. So I was able to overcome that resistance. But what you'll see behind me is you have the space that I have at home. During COVID, I've been training at home, and it's really not that big. It's about a 9 foot by 9 foot space, and I've got everything in here. I've got the squat rack, I've got my rack of all the weights, I've got my hoop, and then there's plenty of room to put a mat down. So this is about as big as, this is definitely smaller than a bedroom. I could probably get this done. You could train in a hallway. If you had a hallway and if you had a pair of dumbbells, you could get enough space to do your training, especially to do the 30-day weightlifting challenge that we're doing. So you have to have a place. So measure it out, get yourself a place. And as you know, I recommend absolute beginners, women over 40, to start with just a pair of 10-pound dumbbells and a pair of 5-pound dumbbells. Then you have to have a plan. Oh my goodness. So I was a certified personal trainer for 5 years, certified turbulence trainer, trainer of the year. I literally have this binder full of just plan after plan after plan, workout after workout, literally hundreds of them. And I have more binders than these. So it's actually pretty easy to find a plan. You can go on Google and Google free weightlifting plan, free training plan. The classic plan that works so well for all of us, Keto Gains uses it, Craig Ballantyne has used it, of course I've used it, is what we call a 5x5, either a big 5 or a 5x5. Nobody has like an exclusive copyright on 5x5 because it is so common and so general, which would be for me, my 5x5 is the squat, the Romanian deadlift, the row, the curl, and one more. Well, it could be the overhead press, but usually it's a single leg exercise. So that would be a supported reverse lunge. So squat, deadlift, reverse lunge, row, and curl. And then you might also do an overhead press to work the shoulders. But 5 exercises, 5 sets of 5 reps. Simplest thing in the world. So there's a place and a plan. But I think the most important thing is the third P, which is the pleasure. How do you do that? How do you do that if you're having a bad day, if you're having a busy day, if you don't have the incentive, the juice to get into the gym? Well, I worked with a life coach a number of years ago when I wrote Keep the Change, Transform Your Body for Good. And she worked with me on making the writing a pleasure, become willing to write every day to get the book done. And you can do the same thing with your training. So the question is, how many reps am I willing to do? And you almost make it kind of like a joke. So let's actually here, I'm just gonna grab a lightweight here. Hang on, don't go anywhere. So here's just a simple 5-pound dumbbell. And you can play this game with yourself of, well, are you willing to just overhead press that one 5-pound dumbbell? Are you willing to do one curl? Are you willing to do one deadlift? So for example, today is leg day. And so really simple, we're just going to do squats, deadlifts, and then a single leg, a single supported reverse lunge. And so the question is, well, if you don't want to train, are you willing to do one deadlift? Are you willing to do one squat? And are you willing to do one reverse lunge on each side? And if you just get in and you just do that one rep for each exercise, very often your sense of humor will come up, your sense of willingness will come up, and you will actually be willing to do that training session. One of the things that I have done, I do have some self-esteem issues. I can get very down on myself. A number of things happen. It could be the season, it could be lockdown, whatever. But when I come up against those kinds of issues, what I will do in order to get through the training session, there will literally be times when I will just put the weights down. No weight at all, and I will simply do the reps. And then what happens, and the great thing about working out, the great thing about training that I want to share with you is that once you've done the training session, no one can take that away. Sometimes we cheat, sometimes we slip on our nutrition, but once that training session is in the bag, in the can, it's yours. And the positive effect that you've created is going to stay with you. So the last thing I want to leave you with is this concept of, and this is why we do the 30-day challenge, and we have a plan for when we're going to train, where we're going to train, is that just for these 30 days to create the habit, do your best not to miss a training session. So after I get off of this live session, I got my weights behind me, I'm going to do my 12 squats, my 12 deadlifts, and my 12 reverse lunges, 6 on each side, for 3 rounds. And then of course I will see you back here on Thursday on more motivation for getting your goals so that you are willing to train. Place, plan, and pleasure. You can do this. Please like, share, and subscribe, especially share if you know somebody who needs to get into training for health and happiness. Take care, everybody. See you soon.